Ruined. A glimpse of existence in the form of a feeling reminiscent of something so distant, gripping your entire body in two giant hands and breaking you in half, grinding you into the ground, pulling you back the thousands of millions of steps taken forward, steps taken to nothing, but from something. Let's turn the music up just a bit. Someone else had seen you. They were gone now, but they had. The feeling of being scrutinized was one you knew unmistakably. Someone else had been here, and it made this place more real in an instant, real enough to force realization upon you. It had poured focus into your eyes, into your mind, like hot, searing lava, where before there was nothing, and though it appeared exactly the same, this shallow, pointless water, it was the exact place you had started. You knew now, and this clarity is what told you. And in the impossibly far distance, at the singularity of the horizon, the sun rises. Two spheres of light, one in ascent, its reflection in descent. What do you do?
There's like a period of time where the screen lingers on this wide angle, faraway shot of both the silhouette and the sun rising. As the piano plays in the background still, and you don't hear it, but you can see them like just mime laughter in the distance in like this like infinite expanse as they look down at themselves. Then like it's like a black silhouette at this point. It's so far away. They kind of drop to their knees with like hands cupped over their face for an unknown period of time before they get back up and, looking towards the sun, begin to stumble towards it whilst making gestures at it, like pretending to almost cup it in their hands, putting like splashing, like picking up some water and splashing it up over the light, as they haven't seen something like this in what feels like millennia. There's a period of time in which walking towards it makes them pause, and they look behind them to see if there's an equivalent moon, but there isn't. This place is infinite as ever. There isn't a parallel. There's just one new thing at a time, apparently. As they begin to walk towards it, for as long as it either means something or continues to be nothing.
The camera gets closer, and as it does, there is just the faintest of distortions across. What do you want me to call Calliope at this point?
At this point, they are going off of the last name they really remember, which is Jun.
Okay. As the camera gets closer to Jun, there's just the slightest of distortions. First, just across their arm, and then almost in this serpentine way down their side and across their leg, but a couple of feet away. As breaking the silence, probably the first time in a very long time, they hear Shun? It's coming from the same vague distance away that the distortion was lingering in.
They scream a little bit, but not in panic. It's like if a response was made by someone who forgot how to speak.
Shun, are you okay?
They cough a few times and they look around. There's no visible, there's no person.
Nope.
Um,
The closest that you see is this invisible, vague silhouette of transparency against the parsable background. And what really solidifies it is just the slightly distorted rays of sunlight passing through them. It doesn't seem to be a bipedal person. It's barely like intelligible at all.
I think after, they cough and whisper to themselves how to speak again because they haven't had to use that in time. They say, "Who are?"
Oh, you can finally hear me. Oh God. Oh, Shun. Ah! And it like flies around suddenly as the voice like moves rapidly in circles, just going around Shun, concentric and getting out further before it comes back closer, and just continues to exclaim, "We've been together. I've been here all this time, and now you can hear me. Can you see me?" It waits expectantly.
They take the gravitas of what this entity said about being here all this time, and the only logical thing that they can say is, "I'm sorry."
No problem. We'll work on it. This is at least something. Ah, June. You've been missing for so long.
Where is this?
I'll get to that later. We've got some walking to do. I'm here so you won't be alone. Nobody else noticed you vanish. Not the first time. They noticed the second time, some of them, but I noticed the first time. I felt it when you were pulled out away from Father a long, long time ago. They're slow, but I'm fast. They're distracted, but I know what it's like to be cut off. I also knew how to get here. Or maybe I just followed how good you smell. By the way, following Suzaku won't actually help you leave. Sorry, I'm a little scattered. You're my second friend. Do you want to hear about my first friend?
If keep talking, yeah.
All right. And the voice just starts to move away from you, as if walking away, but continuing to talk. Do you follow?
Yeah, absolutely. In kind of like a feverish state, just hearing a conversation, like, holy shit.
So, like I said, following Saku over there won't actually help you. My second friend figured out if we find the rocks and follow them, that's how we get out. But, and the voice stops and you catch up with it pretty quickly. I can't actually look as well as you can, and I also can't move very far away from you, so you'll have to do the walking. But anyways, my first friend is a very smart person, and he found me kind of like how I found you, and figured all of this stuff out, figured out this place in the ways that it can be figured out. Is that a rock over there? Can you roll an either perception or investigation check?
Sure, but also my entire thing around the board is all scuffed up. Like my proficiencies and stuff, seem to not be entirely reflective of uh of everything. I don't think I have the. Is that I'm pretty sure in general I should have more than 4 normal proficiencies at like what, level 9?
Oh yeah, that's fair. Let me think. Actually, rogues get a ton of proficiencies,
Yeah,
so
I know.
you might only have 4. Let
If
me.
that's the case, then I might.
I think you might only have 4 and need training in something.
Okay. If that's the case, then can I just swap deception for insight?
Yeah,
All right, just because I think it's more thematically appropriate.
you can retool all of them if you want to.
I think the rest are where I actually no, I don't need stealth. I think I'm gonna swap stealth with deception, and then the deception into insight.
Okay, no problem.
Anyways,
Um,
yes,
So yeah, you're looking for some rocks, apparently.
some rocks. Um, they've been staring at this expanse forever, and they haven't seen any rocks. So the fact that they know now that they exist kind of pisses them off in like a very quiet seethe. However, it's kind of like dwarfed by how happy they are to hear another voice. As like they wipe tears away from their eyes and try and perceive where these rocks, in quote, may be.
You are
Insight?
getting assistance, so roll with advantage.
Insight.
Yeah. So pretty quickly, you piece together that these rocks aren't piercing up out of the water. You're scanning the horizon, and nothing breaches the surface for forever. But as you start to like crouch down and inspect the contents of the water, despite it only being about ankle deep, you see these sunken buildings far, far beneath you, and all of them juxtaposed at an angle and just conglomerated together and mashed and ground up. And some of the tallest of these buildings come just almost close enough to graze against the surface of this water. And it's not too far away, the first of these. So you start moving towards it.
June hardly recognizes them as buildings as they look down and just point to both, for both them and the silhouette as they word out the rocks.
Yep, those are the rocks, probably. I can't see too well, like I said. But I doubt you can get it wrong. There wasn't much else here that I remember. And
There isn't.
and
And they continue to walk.
is there anything you want to bring up, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said you'd say later. Where? What is?
This place is Dochiramo.
Did I do something horrible here?
That's what I thought too when I was here. But my first friend told me that it was other people that did something horrible to me. So that's probably what happened to you too.
I don't blame.
Do you blame me for coming to get you?
Wish I was more interesting for you. Be told. I only remembered my name when you said it.
You don't remember Ryujin? Or Amaterasu?
They blink a few times. Familiar. Do I know them?
Yeah.
I'll apologize if I see.
So, these rocks that were unrecognizable as buildings to Shun were hardly fashioned into a road, but to you that is the purpose they served. The remnants of something, with the minimal amount of organization required to serve as landmarks. They somehow parsed this place out of itself, and the further you moved, the dimmer and dimmer the sunlight became, before eventually it stopped radiating out, but the sun itself never left. The landscape instead becomes this more pure form of perception. I'm going to change the music real fast. Dun, dun, dun. And a very perceptible discomfort comes inside the words that you and this silhouette are exchanging with one another, at least from them, and their responses become more and more brief and tentative.
They look and it's like talking less. Why?
Shun, there's a small tower behind the mountains.
So this is new geography. It looks like the thing you posted.
Yes.
The first time the silhouette, if it can see particularly well, would see Jun's smile. It's really pretty.
After June is finished being momentarily captivated by this place of harsh borders and without shades differentiating the stars from the grains of sand, you'd probably notice that your companion is now more parsable. You now see two glinting, ruby red lights for eyes set in the head of a mouthless serpent, long and lithe, flying about. The grains of the sand now visible through the perfectly transparent liquid around your ankles just bring back a little bit of your sense of touch. And up ahead of you, the mountains that your companion mentioned pierce up out of the water like teeth in the distance, and body parts that you recognize litter your view. You see your teeth in the ridges and the cliffs here. You see fleeting constellations, describing your horns before the stars comprising them are scattered from the wind into new shapes entirely. The sun no longer giving off its radiance, and the moon now accompanying it in perfect duality, watch their dominion over this strange fixture in the nothingness, this seemingly infinite pocket of the wider endlessness you knew laid behind you. And apparently there's a tower behind the mountains.
Oh, talk like it's going to be bad.
Not bad. Just brings back memories.
Lucky. As they begin to their stumble becomes more pronounced as they begin to feel their feet. Before tripping over themselves and hands landing in the thing, as they kind of smile as they feel what it's like to have self-preservation as their hands catch them before they faceplant. Before they stand back up, and Well, I don't want to just go full walking simulator, but there doesn't seem to be much else but to go over the
Yep.
mountains.
Kind of does seem to be go over the mountains. And in the same like weird duality of seeming like an eternity as well as just an instant, you've passed through a few mountain passes, and beneath you lies the just parsable fixture of a building, the only one of its kind. The tower itself is a simple one. Its top is ruined and decrepit, and it's made of the same stonework as the unrecognizable buildings that led to this plain. The door leading in is it's on the opposite side, and it's shut, even though there's a large many cracks in the walls and an absent roof.
They point at it, and look to their second friend and say, "What color?"
Say what? You were a little
They,
quiet.
what
You were a little
color?
quiet.
Hello?
Hi.
They lean over and say, "What color is that?"
Um, it looks dark, like a gray, but so does everything here.
This is gray. They kind of nod in affirmation to themselves as they walk down. And you said there was a door?
Yeah, it's a shut door on the other side, and as you move over to face it, it's not actually like it looks like a door from the back, but from like facing it, it appears to be open, and it does not serve as the threshold to the interior that was visible behind the tower.
Oh, interesting.
It leads into a maze of corridors and stairs, of claustrophobia and constriction. The walls clot around themselves and can't settle in place very long. It almost feels as if they change when you look away and then back at them.
They look over to Funny Snake, and before anything else, what is your name?
Um, you can call me synesthesia.
Synesthesia. Okay. Do I go in there?
We should in a bit, but I don't want to yet.
Why?
My first friend loved the place in there. We stayed there for a very long time. He said that it told him how much bigger everything was, how old it was. A few times he talked about lies, but I don't remember those talks very well.
Oh,
My first friend was killed by father, and then I was too.
well, that's okay. I'm not going to listen to the stairs because the people. Maybe it's the person? Someone put me here, and they're still alive. And I don't know if I want them to be. And if I'm here, I can't do anything about that.
Shun, I don't know who killed you, but I'm glad that I was imprisoned here once, so that I knew how to come find you. And it looks like she moves through the threshold.
They're just mouthing synesthesia to themselves, trying to get their lips acquainted with it. As they look down, their hair was longer than they thought it was. As the further it goes down, the closer it becomes to scales and feathers. They just kind of stare at it, as they haven't really given themselves any chance at introspection before looking into the funny little maze and stepping in with synesthesia.
So things have much more shape here, and there's a very jarring increase in how much you can feel everything. Almost as if you recovering your sense of touch on the bottoms of your feet was a first step, and then somebody pushed you down the rest of those stairs.
I
As
think
you
Jin
come into
screams a little
here,
bit.
you think what?
I think Jin screams at like the feeling of sensation again. But yes, continue.
Almost immediately, there seems to be no real way forward, as well as no real way back. Turning around, the threshold you come through still leads back to the place you came from, but it feels like a painting, not a door.
Well, they sit down cross-leggedly, a hand on their chin, before looking around this living thing, before saying, "Please let me out. I have a lot of things that I would like to be doing, and this place is not good for any of them. Thank you." And I would like to roll persuasion.
Okay.
I don't know if this means anything, but I think it's funny. I'll push that.
Okay. Pog. 22. There's a single hallway stretching into a black infinity to your left, and with a it just bends to the right and starts to coil around the room you're in. The walls start to compress, and the other passageways out of here start to crumble and get pushed away. Just like the walls past the doorways, torn out and then blocked by this coiling hallway as it finishes constricting the room and then starts pulling it vertically, and the wall juts out a spiral staircase. And as this happens, your companion, who is, it occurs to you now, fully visible, just settles down and watches this happen with you. They're much more discernible features and more complete eyes than just the glowing lights are striking against everything else here. They have these beautiful blood-red human eyes behind white-scaled ridges of their brow, and portions down their spine erupt in plumes of feathers of the same deep red color. They still have no arms, but two small antler horns come from where their skull ends, uneven and juvenile.
They kind of turn and look, and there's like a brief period of pause while like the building is like shifting around, before they blink a few times. Pretty. And then they stand up.
Are you talking about me?
I'm not talking about the building.
My first friend thought the building was pretty, so I just figured I would make sure.
Oh.
We have a lot of similarities, I think. And it kind of shakes its head to to gesture the antler horns.
They just kind of blink a few times and waggle their arms and say, I think I have more arms, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you always have no arms?
I've grown them in the past. I've
Oh.
transformed into a lot of things. But this is my favorite.
It's nice. I like that this place listens.
I don't understand it very much. But based off of what you just did, you're probably a lot like my first friend. He seemed to understand it too. And they just begin to move up the stairs in their serpentine flying way.
They both go.
At the top of the stairs, there's a few doorways that don't lead into these maze-like labyrinthine halls with stairs on the walls. There's a few of them that just lead into rooms that feel dusty from the outside. These circular chambers that are almost like classrooms if the chalkboard was cylindrical and in the center. And you see the remains of things. At first, it's just a bunch of collapsed cloaks with rubble underneath them. And then there's the realization that the rubble comprised their bodies once upon a time.
They walk into one of these cylindrical rooms full of things.
Your companion follows you.
They crouch down and pick up like a piece of maybe fist-sized rubble and look at it.
The rubble you're looking at has an eye etched into it. A dead, lifeless eye, but an eye.
They don't recognize the dead, lifeless part as they see the eye, smile and wave to it and just say, hello, before putting it back down. They look at the room. Is there anything else but cloaks and people rubble?
Roll investigation.
Okay. Hey, that's not bad for a -2.
It's actually particularly good for a -2. As you move over to the cylindrical chalkboard and find that it has some cubbies with handles built into it. And pulling one of these out that was just slightly ajar and has retained its purpose, you find a little statuette. And it is a statuette that you probably don't remember at first. But if it wasn't time-worn, it would have been very expertly chiseled, with one arm raised to the sky in a kind of prophetic stance, and a large mantra circle hovering behind its shoulders, wearing a toga with a necklace around its neck, with a singular wind chime dangling like a pendant from it.
They don't recognize it, but suddenly, I think synesthesia, feels their entire, for the first time, this very loose creature becomes tense as they just, yeah! And they throw it on the ground and, heel stomp it.
It breaks into many pieces. It was very brittle. And with a little bit of an outcry, synesthesia flees and swims through the air out the threshold of the door leading in here and turns and vanishes from sight.
They look back and their face drains any color it had as they're like, Where? Where did? Where did? I'm sorry. They
Roll a charisma check.
are.
Very shallow stairs, but stairs nonetheless start building themselves out of the floor, leading you to the threshold that leads into this room. As your sudden trauma starts affecting the building around you, and also little, almost like storyboards of the frantic thoughts that Shun is having start appearing as carvings in the walls before disappearing as they're replaced.
And I think upon seeing this and upon this conceptualized trauma, there's like a period of time in which the tension spikes again, except to the walls of the building, it, instead of scrawling out chalk, almost, you know what a ferrofluid does when you put a magnet in the middle of it, where it becomes like an inverse spike, or a set of inverse spikes.
I just watched it.
As Jun drops to their knees, yelling either "stop" or "what is this" or some incomprehensible phrase in a language that they didn't know they spoke, all of the walls spike down and stop inches away from their form before they recede. And they get back up, their eyes either as dull or duller than they were previously, as they don't quite know what that was. Before looking out of the room and stumbling out, wiping like a tear that they don't remember crying off of their face as they look around for synesthesia.
Go ahead and roll a perception check. Seems to be no sign of them.
They're just kind of like slowly panicked, as they're not sure what they did to do that, but they continue. Is there a building? Is there like?
So I'm going to say there's stairs up to your immediate right.
Yeah.
There's stairs down immediately in front of you, and there's a walkway that goes out over the precipice of like a building outside to your immediate left.
The precipice to the building outside. They start to walk to the left.
So you start to walk to the left, and you see the tops of many more of these buildings that the one you just left connects to. And it's a much more close-up version of the buildings that you were seeing underneath the water.
They didn't like those buildings. They turn back, and instead head to the staircase up.
You head to the corkscrew staircase up, and as you do, the building that you're in keeps trying to create things out of the walls in an attempt to comfort you. But it does not do so effectively. The first thing it comes up with is, I think, Virgil working on Abraxy on the couch.
They don't remember it.
The next thing it comes up with is the letters you got from the Tenebrae. And you holding the letters, and the view is from over your own shoulder as you look at the unbroken seals, as they're being held like a playing card hand.
And they don't recognize themselves.
And after a bit of ascending the stairs, they lead to nothing. They stop at the top of this tower that was constricted by the endless hallway, as the building is briefly stumped. as it does not know what to do with you.
They pause and they put a hand on the flat, just the blank continuation of the staircase. And they say, "Told you I need to leave. I need to go. This is not my..."
The flat starts to build itself back up into stairs that are kind of rising or lifting you into the air as they form.
They accept it. Um, Although, yeah, they're always looking around for where synesthesia might have gone.
As the stairs get to a certain point, a threshold just kind of spawns, just very naturally grows into the wall as it progresses. And as it does, Synesthesia's head pokes out, looking very wary.
I'm sorry.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Which is why I'm more surprised that I...
No more breaking things.
They smile a little bit, before continuing up the threshold.
So Synesthesia comes fully out of the threshold and gets in your way. I need you to see something before we leave. Can you come with me?
Okay. Sure.
And they lead you back through the threshold that they were behind. It leads to another cylindrical chamber with the chalkboard in the middle. There are many more remains here, but some of them have been cleared away as a door into a much smaller room, almost like a closet, is unblocked by synesthesia pulling things out of the way and opening the door. And inside, there are scrolls that have the colors of the real world in them. Very old parchment that has been perfectly preserved by this place. And they're organized in these stacks. And there's so many of them, and several inkwells run dry with a single quill that was used on all of them. And synesthesia turns to you and says, "This is where my first friend spent all of his time. And I think he's still here."
Oh. Well, do you want to say hello?
I want to say goodbye.
Oh. Where?
Synesthesia just looks to the small mat where someone would be sitting if they were writing in these scrolls, but nobody seems to be there.
Can I roll insight?
Go ahead.
Actually, no. I think I'm gonna roll Arcana, which I'm worse at. Yes. I don't see any.
Sure don't.
They say to synesthesia.
Synesthesia moves in a way that she hasn't yet. Instead of swimming through the air or the panicked movement, it's a very deliberate, very slow movement as she moves down to the ground and starts slithering over. And there's a form that she coils around, almost protectively, but also like a pet, as
Interesting.
her head comes up over the shoulder of a figure that must be sitting down cross-legged and peeks over its shoulder at you. And she says, I think he's hiding because he's scared of you.
Why would they be scared of?
And the building you're in, portion of the wall of this storage room that has been co-opted into a place of research, the wall fragments off and forms a small window as it moves in front of you. And inside the window is a mirror. And Shun sees themselves.
Is this something that you think? Should they be nervous about it? Oh.
It's up
They.
to you. It's just a mirror.
They look at themselves and squat down and then make a side profile and then wave their hand and then pull on the bottom of one of their eyelids.
For what it's worth, I think you're pretty too.
I don't think I'm scary, but maybe other people do. Other people think about me. They wave the mirror away and look down at the cross-legged figure and just kind of sit cross-legged next to them without a mat.
In front of them or to their side?
To their side.
Okay. Synesthesia moves to coil affectionately around both of you together, and you feel the figure stir on the mat next to you as they get up and position theirs in front of you instead, pushing some of the stacks of agonizingly detailed scrolls to the side. And as they sit, a veil of invisibility over them is lost, and you see what used to be a scholar. A very young scholar with bright eyes behind some glasses and neat hair that has been just eviscerated. Lacerations of very many angles across his chest and his arms and shredding most of his clothes. All of them seemingly frozen in time as opposed to persisting wounds. Blood is frozen, gushing from the lacerations, just going across his face, splitting his lips, and some of it mats a portion of his hair down as he looks at you and says, "The lost child. You're not
They
here for me, are you?"
they raise their hand in a little wave and say hello.
I suppose
After that,
that's a no then.
no, I don't know who you are.
Perhaps that is for the best.
Maybe someone did though. They kind of point at their face.
This gets this very strangely good-natured smile from them, one that would probably be painful if they could feel their wounds. You were fetched by my very good friend, Amatsu. And his hand comes up and scratches underneath Synesthesia's chin as she almost looks at him scornfully.
Almost. Oh. I see. I want to get out of here. Can I?
Yes, but I also wanted to get out. And perhaps you would like to know of my perspective so that you don't make any mistakes. It is much harder to get back here.
Um, Okay.
The world out there,
Whoa.
it is much more exacting than this place. This remnant of something that couldn't stand to lose itself. It is not normal for a place's consciousness to infest its buildings like this. This is not my doing, it's merely a point of my fascination. I think that you will deeply regret it if you leave, no matter what purpose you attach yourself to.
Well, I thought about that, but I don't think I like the color gray so much.
He gives you a soft smile and says, "You will learn about me out there, won't you?"
Well, I'd like to think that I could learn about you now.
He slowly shakes his head. "I cannot tell you anything but my name."
Many people have been so forthcoming about a lot of things that I've been forthcoming. That's the your name.
"I am the seer Daiza Hurima."
And then they blink a few times, and then they blink a few times at Funny Snake, and they say, Daizo. And then they look over to Funny Snake, Amatsu. Okay.
"Amatsu, you will go with Shun if they truly decide that they must leave." And there's a brief look of protest from Synesthesia before she uncoils from Daiza and adopts a more neutral stance between you guys, just hovering in the air.
They pause and say, I mean, you can stay if you want. If the world is bad out there, then I don't want to put anyone else in it.
My first friend is much smarter than me and has convinced me to do things that my emotions would have kept me from doing forever. So I'm gonna do what he says.
Out of character, what's the full name of Daiza? And also title?
The seer Daiza Hurima.
They pause and they look back, not even like in the same way, like a child at an aquarium will not be looking at you if you have a conversation with them. They're staring at the fish. They look
Yep.
back over to Daiza after Amatsu spoke and said, Why is Seer your title? You both have eyes. I found that out. They point to the mirror.
Would you like to be a seer too?
I don't know what it is.
I'm called a seer because of the supposed wisdom that I brought people.
I remember not names, not people, but I don't know if I was particularly smart when I was. Maybe you should stay a seer and I should stay a.
It is okay to just be Shun.
I'd like to hope so. And they stand.
The room outside, or outside the room, excuse me, is the same corkscrew staircase that continues up, but this time it leads to a doorway.
Before they go, they leave Diza, but they stand in the room for a little bit, and they say, "Tower, is there any amount of acknowledgement?"
Yeah, it seems to just do a little crunch.
They told me that it's a bad world more out there, the one that I'd like to get back. And there's a very bad thing that I would very much like. Is there anything you could provide to help?
Two of the bricks immediately next to you part, and a perfectly smooth, small stone that is exactly the proportions of a materia, but without any of the busyness of energy swirling inside of it, rolls into your hand.
They pick it up and they look at it and they nod to themselves. I could throw this. They hold it like a baby and they continue to walk up the corkscrew stairs.
The corkscrew stairs lead to a threshold that opens out into a very dusty wasteland with a single gate. And through the gate, just like the one leading into the building, it does not lead to the space past its existence. It leads to a much snowier space, one that looks mountainous.
Can we take like a 5-minute break? I need to use the washroom.
Absolutely.
This is good so far.
I'm
I like
glad
this
you
so
like
far.
it.
I'm having a fun time. I like these characters a lot. I'll be right back.
Hey, still recording. Don't unmute. You're good. So,
Yeah?
hi. You ready to keep going?
Yes.
Poggers. So you come up out of the building in the dusty wasteland that it is protruding from diagonally, and in front of you is a threshold that leads to a wintry landscape, mountainous and barren, that is clearly of another realm.
Does it have color? Like, does it...
Yes, it does. As does the wasteland around you.
They blink and, like, pick up some sand and let it run through their fingers. And kind of giggle to themselves. Before looking over...
Sorry, you can keep going.
No, go ahead.
As you bend down and take some of the sand in your fingers, you see more of the remains of the people that were in the first room, just everywhere here.
Once again, they kind of compartmentalize it as, not bodies. As they stand up and look around and point and say, Amatsu, should I go through there?
That's where we're going.
Okay. And then they look at the threshold and they step behind it, assuming it's not just a mountain in like a diagonal line in the shape of that like dome, it's a portal.
Yep.
They blink a few times and then put their hand in and then walk in.
So give me the camera shot like you did at the very beginning. What's the camera doing?
I think it's a parallel of the side shot of them looking at the sun, except there's so much more happening in this shot. There's so many more obstacles and objects. There's two silhouettes now, and they seem a lot more lively about the understanding of, you know, they remember what it's like to have a position in a world. As instead of it just being slow movements of crying or laughter, it smash cuts to them wandering around a little bit and like places that they are, and like there's shots of them sitting on some of the rubble. There's shots of them attempting to do a handstand and falling. There's shots of them like climbing up onto the top of the portal and like waving to Amatsu. And then finally it's slowly in parallel zooms in back to the two of them before walking in. The camera then...
Okay, sorry, keep going.
I was going to say is that the camera then does a rapid shift in the way that like it spins so the entire shot becomes upside down and then realigns itself to topside up, except they stumble out through the other side of the portal into the snow world.
So as you do, Amatsu is no longer with you, but on your hip is the hilt of a sword that was not there. One that has a gem the exact same color as Synesthesia's eyes. And there's... Sorry, keep going.
They just kind of say, hey.
And there's motion directly to your right, accompanied with the sound of metal just moving against itself, as a person who's been sitting for a very long time leans forward to take a look at you from your right before saying, "Oh?" And they get up and take a few steps forward, and they look at where you came from.
They wave and they say, hello.
They say almost silently to themselves as their gaze is just fixated on the gate you've emerged from. They say, "It's open. The threshold is open." Who are you?
Jun.
Where's Mog?
Who?
Mog.
Who?
Tallish fellow.
I know Adaiza, and I know Manamatsu. Don't know Ahmad.
Almost insanely, this knight begins to cackle with laughter, and as he does, you notice that he does not have a weapon.
They point back at the threshold and say, "Don't go through there if you don't like the color gray."
Oh God, it's been so long. Come with me. And he starts to move alongside a very tall, rocky ridge to his right, as he moves up to a very large machine that seems to connect to the gate.
Their tails are kind of like, they drag in the snow for a second before like tensing up and kind of like beginning to raise. They're kind of like these thin, imagine if like the tails of snakes were attached to someone. As they look at, I'm sorry, yes, go on.
No, we just keep cutting each other off. As they look like what?
Oh, no, go ahead.
All right. So, as you guys are walking up the pathway to the top of the rocky ridge, the knight seems to regain his composure, and he lowers his visor, and you see decayed flesh underneath. As he looks at you and says, "You, oh, what are they called? It's not been very long that they've been around.
June, like I said.
Yeah, but is that a Zunian?" As he looks back forward and continues to walk.
They blink a few times. I know. They pause, they blink a few times to remember some more names. I know that I knew Adyushin. Something.
You look like you have a pretty bad case going. Amnesiac? As you guys get to the machine, he starts.
They look at their
pulling the lever.
hands and they look at their clothing and they say, "I don't have a case."
Amnesiac, but with a great sense of humor. I like that. As he reaches his hand up and closes his visor again. Once again, he's pushing a lot of levers and buttons and cranking things, and the machine connected to the gate starts to cause shifts in it as large corollary pieces of machinery around the threshold begins to hold it open.
They blink at this, and then they blink back at Insomnius, and they say, I don't think that I've met an alive person.
Yeah, they're a little more put together than we are, I think. What about you? Are you dead? Can't really tell outwardly, but poisoning can be pretty subtle.
I don't think I can feel it. Well, I don't remember dying, but I do remember someone who might have.
He gets very thoughtful at this. And his armor kind of clanks together as he folds his arms. That's real exciting. It's one of my favorite kind of stories, the ones where there's this ambiguous, nuance-filled vengeance.
Why are you in the snow?
I've been waiting here for a really long time, and I think I still have to, but it's a lot more hopeful now. Because of where you came from.
I don't think there's much hopeful in there.
It's hopeful for me.
That's good.
He starts walking down the ridge.
They follow and like they take out the handle of the sword and begin to examine it for themselves.
It is Hensu.
Yep, but they just kind of like stare at it, and like play with the fact that it doesn't have a discernible blade right now. They put their hand like on the thing and they like flip it a couple of times. They drop it down the ridge and panically grab it. Before looking back at Insomnius, who may or may not have noticed.
I like to think that he probably like was paying attention to June, just being playful until he figured out that it didn't really have anything to do with him, and so he kept going down the ridge. But he's also waiting up a bit. He's making sure he doesn't get too far ahead of you.
They follow quite well. And they say, so not many come out of portals that are digging the mountains.
Sorry, what?
They say, so it's not often that people fall out of portals into mountains near you then.
This is actually a really special place. People come through this threshold quite a bit, but never from where you came from. It's been a place that's very important.
To who?
To everything.
Oh.
And I've got a part to play in it. Just like probably so do you. But I don't know what yours is. I don't think I can help you.
That's okay.
But I do have to thank you.
Why?
I think without you, I would be doomed.
That's a lot of weight to put on someone.
He clasps his gauntleted hands together and rests them on the top of his head. Sorry. I can say it again with less gravitas if you want.
The first time was good. Well, what makes this place so important?
We probably have similar ideas, which is to say, not an idea at all. As I get a spam call. The important bit is that I know how much bigger it is than me. Bigger than everyone. This is the kind of thing where you try to control it and it tears apart reality. So you have to play by its rules. And it's the kind of cause I've devoted myself to for a long, long time.
Oh.
I do want to help you. This person that possibly maybe killed you and was also maybe your best friend because you don't know. Let's work together to figure out who it is.
Oh. Okay. I remember it being kind of like this. And they just kind of gestured loosely to the fact that it's cold out.
I see. He moves over back to the threshold and takes his helmet off and places it on the rock he was sitting on and sits next to it in this contemplative stance. And as he does, as the time passes, you notice that he is regenerating.
I actually have a question out of character.
Sup?
So you know the harm and how it's at level 6 right now?
Yeah.
What do I do? Is that pertinent to like roleplay as right now?
That is me forgetting to get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
But like, look at all those cool words.
Yeah, look at all those.
I'm actually going to keep level 1 spiritual harm and repudiated.
I do like repudiated. Anyways, so Jun looks at him regenerating and blinks and says, Is it making him look less like a hollow from Dark Souls?
Yes.
Why didn't you do that beforehand?
Do what? I'm trying to think of like where to start here. It's been a long time since I've hit the books, and I know a few people that it doesn't seem like he knows what you're talking about.
Touch your face.
He looks at his metal hand and just places it against his skin, and then looks at it again, and a little bit of blood comes off. And he looks at it. And then he takes the gauntlet off, and his blue-colored fingers, with the color slowly returning to them and the flesh reconstituting itself, he places that against his face, and then like touches his neck and looks at it again. I didn't even realize what did I used to look like 10 minutes ago? What did I look like when you came out?
Crispy.
Not the word I was expecting. Huh. Guess I lost track of time.
That's okay. Me too.
I've got an idea.
Okay.
I have to stay here, but I think I know someone that can help you.
Oh.
Give me just a second, actually. And he moves around and starts finding like little pieces of fallen branches and sticks and a few rocks. And after a small montage of him creating a very shitty scarecrow using his breastplate, helmet, and gauntlets, and putting it in front of the threshold, he looks at you and just kind of dusts his hands together and says, I've got to get you to some high ground if I'm going to give you proper directions.
Oh, okay.
And the two of you walk for a few minutes. Is there anything you want during this?
Yeah, as they're walking, Jun says, Do you sleep?
I think I'm probably going to have to now, but I can't remember the last time I did.
Do you remember dreaming?
He looks at you and his cadence stops very rapidly. Slows and then stops very rapidly. I wasn't sleeping, you're right. If I slept, I would have... That's a lot of time to not see Mog coming closer. Did I dream? I think so. I don't remember any, though.
Well, if you have to now, I hope you have good dreams.
Thanks. And he starts walking again.
Yeah. I used the first level spell slot on that one.
PogChamp. So you get to the top of a ridge with a very lone skeletal tree, and he points in the distance as you see the Great Wall of Nartzareth cutting off the Cheruz district and the outside hills from the Twin Bridges district and the Aluk district and the Eshavai district far, far beneath. And you can barely see the buildings of the Aluk district above this large wall's precipice. but that's what he's pointing to.
Does this place have a...
Have a what?
No, in character, talking to Insomnius. Do these buildings have...
No, yeah, I'm asking out of character because you're cutting out at the end.
Ah! Out of character, or in character, Jin is asking if these buildings have names.
Most of the ones in that place look like chapels, which are a type of building. But names like you and me? I don't think so.
They nod. And where am I going?
It's called... What's it called? It's one of the stupid districts here.
District. Okay.
The Eleusians. It's theirs.
Oh. That's a lot of walking.
You're gonna be looking... What's his name? Fuck, what's his name? You're looking for, He starts having a little bit of a panic attack as he can't remember this person that he was going to recommend.
Jun just casually pats him on the back and says, "Well, that's okay. Maybe you'll remember when I get there. You can maybe send a note."
It's like fire. It's like fire, his name. Fire, Inferno, Ig something.
Oh. I'll ask for people with fire names then.
He looks at you as if, like, with a face that says, "That's not gonna get you shit, and it's my fault."
Jun just kind of gives him a blank look with a couple of, superseded blinks.
He's the Archon.
Oh. Is there only one?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, Archon name like fire is a good description. There's not too many.
This reassures him, and he gives you a pretty genuine smile back as he, puts his fingers through his now completely regenerated hair across his scalp, takes a deep breath and breathes it out and says, "Wow, it's a lot colder than I remember it being."
I just like that it's cold.
Well, Shun, I hope you find this guy and figure out whether he killed you or whether you're friends. I think I'm going to be rooting for the second one, though.
Wait. I should know this person?
Well, maybe you don't, but it's always a little sad to entertain the thought that someone that didn't know you would have such a profound effect on you. Doesn't make for a very good story, does it?
Some stories are short.
He shakes his head very slightly in dismissal and says, "Something tells me your story's going to be pretty long." Hey! He looks down the ridge as a couple of crows are just tormenting the scarecrow that he set up.
They see this as a danger to something that this person, now friend, knows, as they take Hensu out, and I am expending a point of effort. As they just very lazily and horizontally slide it across as the crows fall.
I don't think Insomnius realizes what happened, and he like squints a bit. It's like, why that? I'm
And
gonna
then
go.
they just kind of see, like, if they look to their left, they just kind of see Jun with Hensu out, like, just kind of out, like, arm outstretched as the odd handle kind of just, like, pulsates with a density unknown.
Yeah, he has no idea what the fuck just happened.
Oh!
I think.
No! Wait, damn it, no! Alright, that's
Use your
fine.
reroll.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's go. I'll push it. That's
16.
Why is his brain rotting?
I mean, technically, his brain is coming back from being rotted.
That's true.
He says, "I'm gonna go see what that. Why did they fall?"
They were attacking your arm.
He sees the weapon out. What? Can I see that? He gestures to the handle.
Okay. And they.
Does it have the weight of a sword?
It does, but it has the weight of a sword that you it feels really weird to hold because its balance is impossible.
He turns it upside down and slowly starts to descend it until he feels like it impacts the ground. Does it at all?
It impacts the ground next to his armor.
What the fuck? He lifts it back up and hands it to you. That's a really funky weapon you got there.
Oh, it's my friend. And they take it, and they wrap it. They don't have a sheath for it. They just wrap the handle in like a kind of like what appears to be some sort of teal ribbon across their belt.
Okay.
Before looking back at him, kind of unfazed, and say,
Well, thanks for getting the crows away from the important place. I think that's probably a good sign that I need to go back.
"Find your Mog."
Yeah, let's hope.
So I should walk there?
He looks to his left and then back to you and says, probably about an hour ago, a few pilgrims made their way underneath that doorway that you opened before it led to the place you came through. And they don't move very quickly, and they make a lot of camps. They're really nice people. Maybe you should get some of them to take you. And he points in the direction into the ruins of Old Nartzareth, where the pilgrims go.
They blink a few times and say, "Oh, okay. Maybe you should find a cushion to put on that rock."
I'll be fine.
Well, I'm going. Thank you.
He gives you... It's not a very well executed one, but it's reminiscent of an Azunian bow.
They blink. "What are you doing?"
I've always heard that Azunians bow to each other. I've never seen it in person, but on the off chance that you are one, and just don't remember, you deserve every respect I can offer.
If you think so. And they kind of do a shittier version of the bow back.
Hilarious.
Before heading towards this encampment of funnies. These funny little fellas.
Great, and that is gonna be it. Canary exists now.
Yay.